Machinery firms in this country argue that in order to grow big enough to compete successfully with foreign rivals, the protection that they have been receiving from foreign competition must be extended for several more years. Okay, so these firms are saying, like, hey, in order for us to compete with the foreign rivals, whatever protection we've been given, we need for more years. Yet, these firms have been receiving protection from foreign competition for the last 10 years. If it were possible for protection from foreign competition to enable or to allow this country's machinery firms to grow big enough to compete successfully with foreign rivals, 10 years would be a sufficient time frame for this to happen. So our economist has like no hope in these people, right? They're saying like, why would you extend it to them? Like if they were going to eventually be successful on their own, it would have already happened. So clearly they're just never going to be successful. Anyway, all right, so go ahead and start with A.
Okay. A, protection from foreign competition rarely, if ever, enables firms to grow big enough to compete with foreign rivals. No.
Why don't
because he's saying that would have happened, but like it's the 10, he's more critical of like the time frame, not the protection.
Okay, but what also is wrong with this one? What is our stimulus talking about specifically?
Extending the time of protection for machinery firm.
Machinery firms, yes. And what does this answer choice talk about?
Foreign competition and foreign rival. Oh, enables just firms.
Yeah, so this is really bad for that reason too.
Okay. B, 10 years is a sufficient time frame for assessing the success of an economic policy. So when I was doing this, I didn't choose it, but I was thinking about it, but I ended up crossing it off because I think it's a little broad. I don't think an economic policy is really ever brought up. It's just an economist.
We say if it was possible for, well, I think that even if the foreign competition, I think that this once again is talking about like any economic policy, where ours is just talking about once again machinery firms policy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not B.
I chose C.
Okay.
None of the machinery firms in the economist country has grown significantly over the last 10 years. Is none too strong?
Can we prove that none of them have? Not a single firm? Like, couldn't there be more than one machinery firm?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, maybe like, because like there could be an individual firm, but I think the machinery firms overall aren't big enough to compete successfully. That doesn't mean that there's not one that can. I think about law, couldn't one law firm be doing well, but a majority of them are failing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, none is very strong.
Okay. D, most of the machinery firms in the economist country will go out of business unless they are protected from foreign competition. That's kind of taking too big of a jump.
Yeah, where's the too big of the jump at?
Going out of business unless they're protected. Going out of business specifically. I don't think the economist is making.
I feel like this is like a hard assumption. So I feel like this is a tempting wrong answer, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's saying that in order to grow big enough to compete successfully, like we have to have this extension. But I guess like we could not go out of business and just not be successful, right?
Yeah.
And also, how would you diagram the sentence if you had to?
Okay. If wait, most of if they go out of business. Wait, no, sorry. I want to say if they are protected, then they will not go out of business, but I think that's the opposite.
What kind of condition does unless introduce?
What?
What kind of condition does unless introduce?
Unnecessary.
What is our necessary condition?
Protected from foreign competition.
Okay. So then what is our sufficient?
Will go out of business.
But what do we have to do to our sufficient with unless?
Negate it.
Yes. So if they are in business, so this is will go out of business. So no. So if they remain in business, what do we know happened?
They're protected from foreign competition.
If they were not protected by foreign competition, what happens?
They'll go out of business.
Excellent. Which you knew that without having to diagram it, but just for practice.
No, that helped.
Great. And then E. E.
Protection from foreign competition will not enable machinery firms in the economist country to grow big enough to take on foreign rivals. Yeah, protection from foreign competition. Wait. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's what the Economist is saying, that like,
So if it were possible for protection from foreign competition to enable this country to grow big enough to completely succeed, 10 years would have been enough. So if 10 years is not enough, then they'll never succeed. And that's why it's E. You
Okay.
totally could have gotten this one.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Okay.